Okay, so first thing first on the real list. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am back with another video and we are talking all about makeup brushes for beginners. If you're new to my channel, my name is Rebecca. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to make it to the end and give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful, and definitely subscribe so you are notified whenever I post a new video. Lego. I decided to film this video because I would have found a video like this so helpful when I started my makeup collection. There are just so many brushes out there that it can be quite hard and rather intimidating to know what brush is for what brush you should get when you're starting your collection. So I have selected 7 key staples that I think are essential for anybody starting their makeup kit. Whether you're a beginner who is learning about makeup or you're somebody that's already into makeup, I feel we can all share and take a bit of knowledge. So without further ado, let's get into the video. The first product I would recommend for everybody to have in their collection is a spoolie. A fantastic makeup look. It's all tied in with elegant, flaky, amazing eyebrows. Whether you naturally have thick eyebrows, thin eyebrows, a spoolie is applicable to everybody. So a spoolie is ultimately a very soft brush designed to brush your eyebrows. A great way to tame your eyebrows. So you just use it to brush your eyebrows up if that's what you prefer. If you have a preference as to how you like your laybrows? Laybrows? What's a laybrow, girl? If you have a preference as to how you like your eyebrows to lay, just use the spoolie and you will have beautiful, tamed eyebrows. Another use of the spoolie is to also brush out product and help your eyebrows look as natural as possible. So if you're somebody that likes to use an eyebrow pomade or an eyebrow pencil, a spoolie is a great thing to go in with after, just to work in the product and to also tone down the intensity of your brows. One thing you might find quite often when you fill in your eyebrows is that they can look quite like, ooh, prominent and on the verge of harsh, and we don't want harsh brows. So a spoolie is a great product just to go in with and tone it down and just help it to seamlessly blend in to your eyebrow hairs. One thing with the spoolie is you can get them individually like so, or a lot of eyebrow pencils do tend to have the pencil on one side and a spoolie on the other. So either way, it's a win, but I think we all need one in our makeup kit. Brush. The next brush I would recommend for everybody to have in their collection is an excellent foundation brush, because a flawless makeup application starts with a beautiful and seamless base, which does also go back a step to skincare and also to diet, but let's skip those 2 steps for now. We can go back to them in another video. But the makeup brush you use is imperative to maximize the finish of your foundation. The foundation brush I would recommend is the Zoeva Buffer Brush. This brush is fantastic for medium to full coverage foundations. If you're somebody that likes to use foundations such as MAC Studio Fix Fluid or Fenty Pro Filter, for example, I would highly recommend this brush. It really does help to get that maximum coverage from your foundation. For like a CC cream or a BB cream, which is a lot more of a lower coverage. So I personally wouldn't really recommend this brush for that. I would recommend to go in with more of a beauty sponge, which we'll get to. In terms of how you would use this one, I would recommend to squirt a few pumps, depending on how much you like to use of your foundation, on the back of your hand. Then dot the foundation around your face. Take the brush in stippling motion, so just patting it into your skin like so. Continue the process until all of the foundation is blended in. That is one way you will see you'll have a lot more coverage with your foundation, and you'll also have to use less foundation because you're getting the most out of it. Another way you could use the brush is to actually swipe it in. If you want lower levels of coverage, that's another method you could use. The brush itself is very densely packed, so it doesn't absorb the foundation, which is one thing you definitely don't want, because that's just a waste of product and it's just not doing anything for you. But with this brush, it just nicely transfers the foundation to your face and it just helps to really blend it in seamlessly. As I said, this brush is by Zoeva. I really like Zoeva brushes, they're excellent. It definitely made very well. This one is very soft, I've had it for a long time. It gets the job done extremely well. And they also just have a nice sleek finish, which hasn't tarnished or anything like that. So I would recommend for all of y'all that like a medium to full coverage to use this brush. Y'all get what I mean? The next staple I would recommend for everybody to have in their collection, I'm sure you already have one. If you don't have one, I recommend you get one, is the beauty blender. A beauty blender. There are many beauty blenders out there on the market. There are two key famous ones which I would recommend. I will get into those and tell you the differences of each. But ultimately, a beauty blender is a sponge like so, which to get the most coverage out of the products that you're using with the beauty blender, I would always recommend to always wet your beauty blender. So I don't recommend using a beauty blender dry. It's just not, no, don't do it. Don't do it. Run your beauty blender under the tap, and it will also get significantly bigger once it's wet. You just squeeze out the excess water. Let's say you're using a concealer, and use the beauty blender to blend in the concealer. As the name says, beauty blender. Y'all get the name, y'all get the products. Beauty blender. So as I said, there are two famous brands out there. The first one is the famous beauty blender itself, which is the recognizable pink sponge, and then there's also the Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge, which is in comparison significantly cheaper, and I think it also does a pretty good job. One thing to mention about a beauty blender is you should always dispose of your beauty blender every 3 months, because although it is a great product, it is very easy to hoard bacteria, and you definitely don't want to be swiping bacteria around your face. Y'all get what I mean? So Beauty Blender recommend it, Real Techniques recommends it, Rebecca's recommending it. Throw your beauty blender out every 3 months and buy a new one. So in terms of the pros and the cons, it's a multi-purpose product which is great for blending in concealer. Due to the shape, it's very easy to get under your eye very precisely. How I would recommend to use this one is to place the concealer under your eyes and everywhere else you would like to conceal. Ensure that your beauty blender is damp, wring out the excess water, and then use the beauty blender gently to blend in your concealer. But ultimately, don't press too hard because you are under your eyes, which is a very sensitive area. If you're using, let's say, this beauty blender for foundation, I would recommend to use this area because that'll be a great way to achieve a seamless, consistent, and flawless finish around your face. So it's a bit of a 2-in-1. You can use it to apply foundation, or you can use it to buff in your concealer. The famous beauty blender itself is more of a high-end product. That one retails for £17. There are slight differences in how they apply. I do know there are some people that live by the beauty blender and refuse to use the Real Techniques. But if you're starting out with makeup, I think this is a great place to start. And let's say you're already into makeup and you've already invested in this one, I would definitely recommend to try the beauty blender itself. And you can see if there's a preference, if you think there's no difference. I think this one is just as good. I would always recommend to use a beauty blender that's clean. So whether you wash your beauty blender every day, recommended, or if you have, let's say, 3 or 4 beauty blenders, you just need to wash them once they're all dirty, for example. In terms of how I would recommend to wash a beauty blender, there are so many sponge cleaners, brush cleaners, beauty blender cleaners out there. Your girl has tried it all. I've actually tried it all. Another way you can use it is to also apply your powder. So let's say you want to powder under your eyes. I personally use this method, powder under my eyes to ensure that my concealer doesn't crease. So that's another little hack. So the fourth brush I would recommend for everybody to have in their collection, whether you're starting out or you're already into makeup, is to have a powder brush, because I believe it is essential to powder your face, whether you have oily skin or dry skin. It's just a way to keep your makeup in place and to ensure that you have a flawless finish throughout. In terms of how much powder you would apply, that would differ depending on your skin type, but ultimately I think a powder brush is a win-win-win. So again, I have a Zoeva brush. This is the 106 powder brush. It's a very fluffy and thick powder brush. It's great for both pressed and loose powders. It's very consistent with how it applies around the face. It's very sheer, it's very buildable. So let's say if you're missing out foundation completely and going straight in with powder, this would be a great powder brush to use. The bristles are very densely packed again. A powder brush is great for 2 things, whether you're applying a mineral foundation, so that's just a powdered foundation, or you're applying a blotting powder, whether that is a pressed powder or a loose powder. A powder brush is essential. If you're somebody that likes to touch up on the go, there's no worries about, oh, this side might have too much powder, this side might not have enough, because you could really do it without looking. And if you have a small compact mirror, it's great because there's no worries with this one. It's a fantastic brush. I do know Real Techniques have a similar powder brush, which I have again tried before. That brush is also very good. And so whichever one you could get your hands on, I would recommend. Another powder brush alternative, maybe let's say you're already into makeup, you're trying to extend and broaden your collection and you want more brushes, I would recommend the MAC 187 Duo Fiber Brush. This is a great brush to again apply powder, whether it's mineralized or pressed. It will apply your powder just seamlessly. You'll have no awkward streaks or anything like that. The final complexion staple brush that I would recommend for everybody to have in their collection would be a blusher brush. I do know not everybody wears blusher, so if you're not someone that's into blusher, miss this one out. If you are, put this one in. This is the Real Techniques blush brush. It seamlessly applies blush to your cheeks. It doesn't put too much product that it's like, oof, you look like you just have super rosy cheeks. It's just like a seamless and sheer wash of color on your cheeks. It brightens up your face. It doesn't do too much, and it's a very soft brush. So providing you take care of your brushes should last you a very long time. Towards the end of this video, I will talk about maintenance of your brushes and make sure that they last you as long as possible. So be sure to watch the end so you have a little hack from your girl on how to do that. One thing about the Real Techniques brushes is that they're very good quality, even though they don't necessarily break the bank, because of course there are brushes out there on the higher end of the spectrum. So this is quite a good high street alternative. It's great if you're starting out. It does what it says. So I've covered the 4 base brushes and 1 sponge that I would recommend for everybody to have in their collection. There are so many eyeshadow brushes out there that it can be overwhelming to know what brush is for what, which brush to get, but there are 2 that I think if you're starting out, they are a great 2 to start off with. Both of these brushes are again by Real Techniques. Real Techniques are a great brand to start off with. They have a diverse range of brushes, whether it's for complexion, a beauty sponge, for your eyes, for your lips. They cover it all. They started off on YouTube here to themselves, and they have grown to have a fantastic empire known as Real Techniques. So shout out to Pixie Wool. So the first brush I would recommend is the base shadow brush. So this brush is fantastic for building up color on your eyelid. Whether it's a cream eyeshadow that you're using or a powdered eyeshadow, this brush is great for building up the color and the intensity on your eyelid. So you would just swirl this around in the product that you're using, dab it on your eye, and continuously press where you want to have the most coverage. Very easy to maintain and wash again. All of the Real Technique eyeshadow brushes have this consistent purple color, so you know which brush is for which line, which is extremely helpful. The 301 base shadow brush is again excellent for pressed pigments. So let's say you have a loose eyeshadow shimmer of like glitter that you'd like to apply to your eyes. This would be a great brush to apply that with. You could just simply spray down your bottle with an instant makeup cleaner, wipe off the excess, go in with the product again. And that's a way to get the most out of the brush without having to have multiple brushes. So just to highlight what instant brush cleaner is, an instant brush cleaner will do exactly as it says. Instantly clean your brushes. Just a few squirts of the product onto the brush, wipe off the excess, it will take out the color. And of course that's not the way to maintain and keep your brushes clean for a long time, but for an instant quick win, just to clean them and just go, it's a great way to clean your brushes. That way you can have 1 or 2 or 3 brushes which you can use in different colors without having like 10 to 20 different brushes, so that you can do a really bright and vibrant look. I will link below a recommended instant brush cleaner so you guys can check that one out. The next brush that I would recommend, which is a staple for your kit, is the Real Techniques 300 Deluxe Crease Brush. This brush is great for blending in your eyeshadows. So once you've gone in with the 301 brush to place the colour on your lid, you would then go in with this brush to just blend it out and have a seamless finish. So this would be a great brush to use to blend in your crease colour, and then to go in again just to blend out any harsh lines. If you're ever in doubt with your eyeshadow and you feel like, oof, it looks too harsh, go in with this brush and just blend it out. Blend, blend, blend. When in doubt, keep blending and eventually you will get there. The 300 Deluxe Crease brush. The 301 base shadow brush do also come in a set, so I will link that below so you can buy them together. And again, if you just have the brush cleaner, you will get the maximum from your brushes, and it's a good way to start before you elevate onto more brushes, because you never know, you might try eyeshadow and be like, you don't really like eyeshadow. You don't want to have a massive roll of eyeshadow brushes that you won't even use, so try it out first, see how it goes. So in terms of maintaining your brushes and cleaning them, I would always recommend to clean your brushes at least every month. It is a tedious process that a lot of us tend to, put off for as long as possible, but to get the most out of our brushes, and also just to protect your skin, it's really important to clean your brushes as often as possible. If you can wash your brushes more than once a month, be my guest, do that. There are so many brush cleaners out there which are good. The Beauty Blender Miracle Brush Cleanser, I think that's what it's called, is a great brush cleaner. Like, I stand by it, although that one is rather pricey, and considering you will be using quite a bit of product to wash your brushes, an alternative and effective way to clean your brushes is just to use a bar of soap. So I like to use either a Simple, the brand Simple, or a Dove bar of soap. They're both as good. Leave your brushes lying down on a clean towel like so, and within 24 hours or quicker, depending on the temperature of where you live, you will have beautiful clean brushes. So I recently cleaned this brush, and as you can see, the bristles are again white, which shows that I've done a very good job. So there's a little hack for you. Again, I will link below the Beauty Blender brush cleaner, so if you are somebody that prefers a brush cleaner, I will link that below. Another product that I have seen on the market but I haven't used personally, there's like a little fish bowl, and it's made and designed specifically for makeup brushes, so it's not just a random fish bowl, but you place the brush into the bowl and it just automatically swirls the brush around and cleans it, and apparently dries the brush as well, which I think is very interesting. I mean, I'm yet to try that, and once I do, I can always check back and tell you guys if it's worth it. If you've tried it, tell me below how it turned out for you. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. I hope you found it helpful. Whether you're starting out with makeup or whether you're already somebody that's into makeup, I hope you've learned something new, and I cannot wait to speak to you guys in my next one. Take care, lots of love, your girl, Rebecca. Oh, someone's got flowers. Somebody's got flowers. Oh, how cute. I want flowers.